Well, I guess we could start out just like talking about like what your favorite summer hobbies now that it's summer and it's like 90 degrees out, which is like way too hot.
Wait, are we going right now?
We are going. Can I?
One sec, it's my turn to ask.
Wait,
hey, are we going?
who should do the intro?
We don't have to do an intro.
Well, I feel like we should address.
I mean, do you want to do an intro?
We need to address the 10th episode
and the fact that it's like we're all back together.
Yeah, that Joey's rejoined.
Yeah,
that Joey's rejoined.
True, because you were on the one with Ryan. I wasn't able to make that one.
Mm-hmm.
That was the last one. And
okay.
then
Joey wasn't there.
No, I wasn't there either.
Joey only was able to make the first one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Buddy was on that one. Oh, okay, yeah.
Okay,
cool.
Well, I guess Ethan, since this whole thing was your idea,
this was my.
Do you
idea.
want to? Yeah, dude, it was
the podcast.
Yeah,
this was my idea. Oh, I thought you started the group text.
No, it was your idea. You brought it up to me.
Okay, all right, guys. Well, Ethan here with Cultured Idiots Podcast. We are back with the original crew, Robbie, Cameron, Joey, and myself. It is our 10th episode. So it's a very special day. We started back early November. So here we are. Same people, different season of life. Mm-hmm. And by that, I mean it's summertime.
Some of us have matured.
Some of us have matured.
We're not going to say which ones, though.
He looked at me. No.
Flip a coin. So yeah, we're here, and this is the podcast about anything and everything. So here we go. Take number 1.
Guys, I'm excited. I'm excited to be back in this.
We're glad to have you back, dude.
In this house, in this room.
If for you guys who don't know, Joey actually went to the worst place in the entire world, the
Michigan?
middle of the United States. Close. He was in Iowa and Illinois.
Illinois.
The flattest, most dry land there.
It's actually really good land. That's why they do all that farming over there.
Oh.
Yeah. That's about all I know.
So he's back. We're all back together now.
Yep.
Interesting.
So
did you do any walking on beaches there?
No. It's as flat as a beach, but I did not do any walking.
See the Great Lakes?
I did actually, yeah.
Were they mildly good or were they great?
It was nice.
It
was pretty great.
Hey, what makes something great? What's the definition of great? And do the lakes fit that definition?
Mm-hmm.
Well, above average, and the lakes are probably above average.
So it's an above average lake.
Yeah.
Are you using average to describe sea level? Or are you talking about, are they literally above average?
Like in Illinois, I mean, like in New Orleans, how the sea level's so
low.
It's like this whole city, the whole town's in.
Yeah, constantly on a state of almost extinction.
Yeah. I would say it's both above average sea level, above average just like quality. Oh, wow.
Okay, cool. Sorry, Ravi. Continue.
Yeah. I don't know if it's quite applicable yet because at least where I am, it's like flip-flopping about whether it wants to stay in spring or whether it wants to go to summer. Like a week ago, it was in the 90s.
That's true.
And then it was like in the 50s. Yeah.
Are you wearing flip-flops right now?
I'm wearing socks and probably pants.
They're Hanes.
But nobody can prove that.
I can start with this question that Cameron posed to us. So in the summertime, I would say that I really enjoy to be outside and go swimming. I really like laying on the beach or by the lake and just tanning.
Great Lakes.
Are they
above
great?
Average lakes.
Above average.
Yeah, Pacific Northwest has some great lakes or good lakes.
Mildly good.
Yeah, I think just kind of with like the hustle and bustle of life, my summers have mostly just entailed me working inside. Back in high school, though, I hung out with Joey Beal almost every single day.
Who's Joey Beal?
He's the guy sitting right in front of me.
Oh, right.
Something that we actually used to do is we would ride bikes from Shadle Park at his parents' house all the way to Krispy Kreme in the valley. It wasn't really that far of a bike ride. It's only like 17 or 18 miles.
No, only 17
miles. Cyclists bike like 50 miles. I'm going to go on a 50-mile bike ride in the morning.
Yeah.
They just bike like 50 miles in the morning
Props.
every day. So props to you guys. And it was mostly flat. There's only a couple hills, but we had terrible bikes. And we were not in any type of cardiovascular shape to bike like that. So we would bike. We'd probably take about 5 breaks on the way there. We would order Krispy Kreme donuts, like a dozen. One time we got it was buy a dozen, get a dozen for a penny. So we had 24 donuts. And I literally remember eating 6 donuts in 5 minutes. And then riding back, just feeling absolutely terrible. So I think we did that probably about 3 times in high school. But I just like being outside, hanging out with friends.
But you missed a part on that story. For the first couple of times we went, we got lost really, really bad. We ended up in Hilliard somehow or something. And it took 3 times the amount of length it should have taken to get to the valley. It was ridiculous.
We ended up on the way to...
We're both really good at directions.
It was what's that one really, really big sports park complex where you'd have a whole bunch of YMCA, SYA events held out in the valley. It was a really big park.
MARIBOU?
MARIBOU Park. It might have been MARIBOU Park.
MARIBOU, aren't those the little gummy bears that you get at the store?
MARIBOU,
Yes,
or was it
I thought it was the big elk looking things.
Oh, right. Yeah, the MARIBOU.
Oh, that's CARIBOU.
No, MARIBOU is that one beachfront property in California, right? Where
Malibu. It's
Oh,
where
Malibu.
Caitlyn Jenner lives there.
No. That's a car. That's a car.
The Chevy Malibu. Yeah, they're terrible cars.
I
If
thought
you
they
own
went on
Chevy
rivers like a
you have
canoe.
terrible car.
Yeah.
But the Malibu, I think it's kind of, is it by Calabasas? It's in the ritzy parts of California. A lot of celebrities live there. Caitlyn Jenner lives there. But anyways, we
I have
went to
a
a park.
question.
To the donuts.
How do you know Caitlyn Jenner lives there?
Oh, I'm a huge Bruce Jenner fan.
Oh,
Yeah, I used to keep up with his transition. I was very disappointed, but fascinated.
yeah. Like you're watching National Geographic.
Yeah. It's like a whole bunch of... anyways, so... we got lost. It was at the period of time where iPhones weren't a thing, and even though they might have started being a thing, we didn't have data or nice phones to GPS where we were going. So we got lost, and I think we ended up riding around for an extra hour. Which when it's 85, 90 degrees and you already suck at biking, that's a lot. And we just got frustrated, and I felt very hopeless at times. I was like, can we just have our mom pick us up? But we somehow found a way back home. I don't remember how.
Nice.
But,
Great job.
yeah.
One thing I do remember also from that story is you had 10, you had more donuts than I had. You had you legit probably had 15 donuts.
No, I'd never had 15 donuts.
24. I didn't have as much as you
We
did.
never ate the whole thing.
Okay, you had a lot. You had 12 donuts at least. But I just remember one time, we were going up a hill, up Division, the hill, and I was dying. I couldn't go anymore. My stomach was hurting. It was terrible. And you just, all of a sudden, you're like, Joey, I don't know why. I just have all this energy. And you were just pedaling way above me. Oh, it was awesome.
So I had a moderately decent bike.
It was a road bike?
It was a mountain bike, but it was
Okay.
expensive mountain bike that my parents had for when they used to go, mountain biking a lot.
Yeah.
Joey had a $80 Mongoose Walmart bike.
Oh yeah.
So
Nice.
the whole time I just had a slightly better bike. So I was always just 10 meters ahead of him at all times just because my bike was a little nicer.
Was his the kind of bike which didn't have any shifting of gears?
No,
So it was
it had three. It had 3 gears.
Oh really?
Ooh.
Okay.
I had an 8 gear. It was the
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, but I had a much nicer bike. So nothing against Joey, but I was just at the end of it, I'm just dude, once we get up this hill, it's just flat ground 2 miles to Joey's parents' house.
Yeah.
So I'm just I'm just going to leave Joey in the dust because I'm not going to just walk up this darn hill after 5 hours of biking and 80, 90 degree weather with 10 Krispy Kreme donuts just sitting in my stomach.
Oh yeah. It's making me sick just imagining it.
So I do it again though.
Nice.
I do it again.
How about you, Cameron? What was your summer? What would that be called? Tour de force. What was your summer go-to activity?
I think for me, and this is a more recent thing, but I've gotten into backpacking. And so I have I believe 75-liter bag, and I've got a hammock and all the essentials. It's just super fun being able to camp without having to take a bunch of stuff with you and do all the setting up and tearing down. It's nice just to be able to put up your hammock, call it good.
Yeah.
But I've only been on one backpacking trip, so my goal is to do a lot more. But
Yeah.
it's hard trying to find people that also do that and like have the equipment. Yeah, that's kind of the challenge. But the last one that we went on, it was cool. It was over in Idaho, and it was only like I think 5 or 6 miles, but it was just like straight uphill basically like the entire way. And it was a little brutal, but yeah, it was like me, David, Buddy. It's a good trip. That was the trip where Buddy did not bring any sort of like blanket or sleeping bag or any sort of insulation, and so it's literally like I had an extra hammock for him, but it was basically just him in the hammock with no like padding whatsoever. And yeah, it was very cold. It actually snowed the second day that we were up there. So I woke up and it was like snowing. And this is like way up in the mountains, you know, like right on the side of this like really beautiful alpine lake. Pretty cool location. But yeah, it's just like snowing, and it was like, I don't know, 30 or below. And so it was just like freezing. And it was just like terrible. And so I woke Buddy up and I was like, dude, we gotta get out of here. We gotta like leave this mountain because this is gonna kill us. But
I remember that. Buddy is on one of the earlier episodes of the podcast for those who don't know. But I remember that camping trip because Buddy called me. He's like, bro, I'm going camping with David and Cameron. I was like, cool, man. I was like, have you ever gone camping before? He's like, no. I was like, have you ever gone hiking? No, not like that. And I don't like camping. I don't like, you know, I like being outdoors, but I don't like doing that type of stuff. But I do have like basic, like I'm a decently logical person. So I'm like, well, it's pretty cold where you're going. Do you have like a sleeping bag and blanket? Like, do you have like a
this is late in the season too.
Yeah, I know. And I'm like, do you have this? He's like, no, it's fine. And then he was telling me some of the things that he was bringing. I was like, why would you bring that? It's going to be heavy. You need to bring like lighter stuff. He's like, oh, it's fine, bro. It's fine. And then he calls me the next day or after he gets back. He's like, dude, that was literally the worst thing of my entire life. And I'm like, did they tell you what to bring? He's like, yeah, they did. Did you do that? No. Did I tell you like you needed to bring like warm clothes? Yeah. Okay. Well, sorry, buddy.
I mean, it was what it was. I mean, it wasn't like completely bad. Like we did have some good times up there, but yeah, I did give him a list because we were going up in like September. So I did give him a list. I'm like, you need some sort of like sleeping pad to put in the hammock so that there's like a layer of insulation between like your butt and the hammock essentially. So that you just like don't freeze. And yeah, anyway, good times. But it was very like clear up there. Like there wasn't any like pollution or any of that. And so like you could see like all the stars, very beautiful. I was like right next to like this little like small lake, and it was like super windy. And so like the whole night I'm just like blowing back and forth because I'm basically like I'm between two trees that are like maybe 15 feet apart. So like farther apart than usual. And so then like there's no cover for like the wind. And so yeah, I was like a sail in the wind, but it was fun. Yeah.
That's rough. What are you, Robbie?
Yeah, what about you?
Let me think. One of my favorite summer activities is killing chickens. Yeah, that's a favorite summer activity. Summer specific one. But you know, actually, I would say hiking. There's a really great hike which you've been on, Cameron. I don't think you other guys have been on.
Great.
Yeah,
it's great for twilight.
It's above average. No, it's great as in it's really refreshing. It's not super difficult, but it's a really good view for what you get, and it's just a really cool place. Hiking Quartzsite, I really enjoy that over the summer. Besides that, some other great summer activities is this season I plan on actually going fishing, so I get to do that. I've gone a couple times already, and it's really, really relaxing. So that's cool. Yeah,
cool. What do you like most about fishing? The actual like catching fish, or the more just like hanging out and talking?
So I really enjoy just being there quietly, just the activity of it, until I catch something, and then I start caring about catching things. And if I even get a bite and it doesn't if I don't reel it in, then I get frustrated, and then it's like less fun. So just being there though is actually really relaxing. If you keep yourself in the right mindset, it's quite enjoyable.
Yeah.
I like fishing. I like fishing. I don't do it very often.
How many times have you gone, would you say?
Honestly, not a ton. Probably 10 times. But I did fish a lot up at my cabin when I was little. I remember I caught my first fish when I was 5 years old.
Nice.
And my dad helped me reel it in. Super tiny fish, but I was like, we have to eat this fish. So my mom cooked it. And I swallowed like 3 fish bones. And they just I literally thought I was going to die. I was like 5 years old. And my mom's like, you need to eat the fish slowly and make sure you pick out like the bones. And I just freaking inhaled the thing, man. So I'm just like, I'm literally just like choking on in like the family room at the cabin. And my grandma's just like, my mom's like, why did you eat the fish so fast? I told you not to. And then we had like bread. So my grandma's just like, just chew the bread and just swallow it. Just drink some water. Like just relax, breathe.
Just relax.
Yeah, so
You're not gonna die. It's
you're
just
not
a fish
gonna
bone.
die. So
You're just feeling like you're dying.
that was a very memorable day. Yeah.
I would like to be a person who likes fishing, but
No?
I'm with you there, Joey.
yeah.
Yeah, I think I went up like twice when I was younger, and I just like I wasn't very good at it for one, so maybe that was part of it. But I just like couldn't get into it. I like wasn't catching anything. It was like really hot, and I didn't put sunscreen on.
Yeah.
So it was like burning. Yeah.
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 It's like that whole trend of your first experience can define whether you like it or not. And sometimes you can kind of like have that trauma of a bad first experience making it worse for like all the other times you try doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to try it again.
Yeah, you should go fishing with me.
You want to go
You
fishing
guys
with me
wanna
on
go?
a,
Yeah, let's go fishing.
on a 2-person boat, Joey? Or a little.
Let's get 4 people on a 2-person boat. Sounds great.
Yeah, I'm down. Let's
Okay,
go.
cool. You promise?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
He hesitated.
4 people on a 2-person boat. I'm gonna
Let's
remember.
Well,
do it.
I don't. Sorry, I don't promise 4-person and 2-person boat,
But with me,
but I do promise to go with you if you'd like.
out on the lake in a boat.
We're gonna get lost probably,
Beautiful.
but that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard to get lost on a lake because
We'll do it.
it's a lake.
Yeah.
We'd end up on the other side. We'd get disoriented.
Yeah.
We'd have to walk like 2 miles back around.
Yeah.
I just want to be like that old man, just like in like super large like galoshes, just standing in the river, just fly fishing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Fly fishing, though, that's super intense.
Have you guys done it?
No.
No, not fly fishing, because fly fishing is, at least so I've heard, is actually really intense. Like it's a lot of really hard work, and it's like an art. It's like
Interesting.
it's a lot more intense than just fishing, because with fly fishing, it's like tricking the fish, and also there's something about fly fishing where you actually you're basically in normal fishing, you throw it in and you reel it back, right? But with fly fishing, you hardly do any of that. You do waving it over, right? You don't necessarily just like throw it and reel it in. It's all like with your hands. You don't just reel. You
like take
Yeah.
lower and
it's really
Right, so you
it's,
gotta like direct the lure in different areas and stuff.
yeah, it's crazy difficult. So I've heard. So
Interesting.
Oh, that's why I've heard it too. I've never thought about it, but I've heard it's difficult.
yeah, that's why it's a hobby, which
Difficult
is so
but rewarding.
yeah, it's the Dark Souls of fishing. Yeah. I agree. Like I like the aesthetic of doing that, but I mean, just sitting early morning in a lake, just sitting and going fishing, it's its own.
That's
world.
probably a better time to do it when it's like not super hot and
Yeah.
like peaceful.
I remember. So right towards the end of my high school career, I once worked at this like lake resort, just maintaining the yard, and it would only require me going out there like maybe twice a month to cut grass. But I remember going out there, and I'd have to go out there really early to make sure no one was there hearing me. And I would go there at like 5 a.m, I think, is when I would start. And when I got there, it was just peaceful, like just so peaceful. There's like the mist coming off of the lake, the dawn coming up, and it was just so nice. I could not help just like sitting there and enjoying it instead of working, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Nice.
Next question, Cam.
Well, I was gonna do the toast
Oh,
before.
let's do the
this
toast.
Oh,
thing
yeah.
gets cold. But yeah, I just want to thank all y'all and everyone who has been on our podcast for going through the motions and going through all the awkward stuff, the awkward silence. Yeah, Ethan for actually making it legit, making it a business. We'll earn some money someday.
Oh, don't we have $3?
No, we're in
we
the
have at
negative.
least
We're
$3.
we
We do have a
negative,
sponsor.
Like, how much money have we spent?
Oh yeah, I mean we're definitely like in the hole like a lot, but
Like a lot.
But we have $3 in the coffers.
Yeah. Yep. Cheers to that, guys. Oh, first off, this kind of looks like really like
No.
concentrated urine that's
I
been
knew you were
sitting
gonna
out for about a
no, it's
week.
all good. I like literally just opened the can.
So what am I
just
drinking?
now.
To like,
This is Hudson North cider from New York. It is is this beer? It is a dry. Is this beer?
Is it?
It's
is
cider.
It is a hard cider. Yes,
It is hard cider.
Yes, it is. Enjoy.
thank you very much. It's delicious.
Thank you.
Could be colder, but you know,
Mazel tov.
You want to drink
I
mine?
think my like refrigerator, like the outside refrigerator, is like slowly dying.
Do you really drink
Just gets
alcohol?
like
I
less
drink
colder and
alcohol.
colder.
Really?
Like,
No. Well, this was sitting out for a while too, I think.
yeah, that's true.
Over here.
Good
Carry on.
My wayward son.
My
I mean,
wayward
what do you guys want?
Nice.
What do you guys want to talk about? I mean, I didn't want have specific questions like lined up, so I just figured this would be kind of a unstructured, just kind of us talking, kind of going against the structure that we've done for a lot of the other episodes, where we're like very structured and we have questions. That makes sense.
Yeah, that's fair.
I had an idea, and you could say it's stupid if you want, but of talking about the Shadle guy, and then showing it,
The shale guy?
the Shadle guy who knocked
Shadle
out
I don't
the.
want to talk about that now.
Okay,
Wow, what a buzzkill!
that's all right.
It's fine.
Just an idea.
It was a good idea. I know him
Like personally,
personally, as in I did sports with him for a long time. I just don't really want to talk about some guy that I don't really know, but know.
that's
I don't know.
fair. That's fair.
I don't
Yeah.
know. Does that make sense?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
Claiming, like trying to act cool, like you know him, but you really
I
don't.
don't know him that well.
Yeah.
He did hurt me once though. Yeah.
Okay.
See that?
So you might say it's justice.
Yes, justice. He is black.
What?
He does have a really cool story though. As does his mom. Mom has a crazy story. But yeah.
That came out of the blue.
Yeah.
Or out of the black. Anyway.
What can we talk about? The origins of pizza.
Yeah, pineapple on pizza. Yay or nay?
Didn't we
No.
talk about that?
Yeah.
Oh, we've already had the discussion,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
That was, I think, in the first
yeah.
episode we did.
I think we did.
So I don't actually like care that much personally about pineapple on pizza. I'm neither against it nor for it. But I've known so many Italians who like have committed attempted murder, about it that I don't know. It seems like something we should take more seriously. At least address it as a country. Like,
You don't just put the pineapple on the pizza.
yeah, at
how
least
much,
like without thinking about it. Let's get the legislation involved. Let's bring it before Congress and say yay, nay, and then let's vote on it.
You know, people make the argument like Italians don't eat pineapple on pizza, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Valid argument. But what about like Asian food or Mexican food? Like how many things that we tweak that
You like American.
it's like
Yeah.
this isn't what they do in Mexico or this isn't what they do in China.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, do you like?
Yeah. There's a lot of that where it's like, just
Yeah,
like
like
the
where
more you
did
do
that
it, you improve it.
Where did the Hawaiian pizza like actually come from? And then if you look at that culture, do they even like that, or is that something that we have like taken and twisted? Because there is a lot of that. Like when you think of different products that come from a certain place that are named after that specific place. What's ironic is that a lot of those things, and it could be like food, it could be like drinks, a lot of those things, like if you actually trace it back, like they don't even practice or like they don't even like do that.
Really?
If that makes sense.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a really weird like phenomenon.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder if that applies. You guys have heard about, I think it's Belgian beers, right? You guys have heard of Belgian beers?
Yeah.
So they're like much harder proof, I think, than most, and they're like really, really intense beers. Well,
Yeah.
I remember, I think that might be a case of that, but I'm not sure about it.
Yeah, like a
but-
Belgian white lager or whatever.
Yeah.
There's a similar thing with like the Vienna. I can't remember the full name, but some sort of
Sausages.
Vienna. No, some
Yeah.
sort of Vienna lager. It's not actually a thing in Vienna. It's only in like American places where they have that. Yeah, it's a weird.
What about Alaskan beer? What if it's not from Alaska, guys? Oh no, what would I do? Yeah, I think the weird part is that it's Hawaiian pizza, but it has Canadian bacon on it. What's the deal
Funny.
with that? No, I'm not even kidding. Like, what's the deal with that? I feel like this is betraying our country.
Wait, what
No.
is Canadian bacon? How did that get the name Canadian bacon?
Who
I don't
knows? I don't know.
I feel like it
It's a
was
melting
just,
pot.
Okay, I'm going on a limb here, but you know how Canadians, and I've never met a Canadian who is not super polite to me, and I don't know if it's because they're afraid of being invaded by America or if they're just very polite. But I wonder if it was like they ordered bacon, they got that instead, and they were too polite to say no, and so that became Canadian bacon.
So Hawaiian pizza is
That's
actually
awesome.
Canadian.
Oh,
It originates from Canada. From
1962.
1962.
That's it?
Yep.
so how does Hawaii feel about this?
How does Hawaii feel?
Yeah, how does Hawaii feel
Like
about
the-
It's
Hawaiian
probably one of
pizza?
those things where they're like, you know, when you think of Hawaii, you think of like, you know, hula skirts, pineapples, pina coladas.
Luau's,
And so they're like,
coconuts.
oh, like this has pineapples, so it must be Hawaiian.
Yeah. Even though Canada was like, yeah, we love pineapples up here. We put it on everything.
Yeah, and then Canadian bacon, it just stems from the mid 1800s where they imported meat from Canada,
Mm.
and so they called it Canadian.
Interesting.
So
What is
it was
Canadian
imported. It's basically just pork, just some kind of pork.
It's just like sliced
You know,
spam.
I
I'm
don't
pretty sure
like-
it's spam.
It's not spam.
I don't know. It has the consistency of spam.
You think so?
I don't know. At a certain point, everything like spam.
Yeah, so it's back meat. It's
Back
It's
meat.
pork back meat.
Oh,
Spam is what's in spam? It's a whole bunch of just mumbo jumbo, like just
no, it's
all
just
the,
pork and
it's all
salt.
the bad
yeah.
parts of like they just take the whole
I don't
thing
know.
and don't they just like grind it up?
I don't think so. I think
Yeah,
it's
it's just ground pork and processed ham,
Well,
but then they put like sugar and like salt and other like things into it.
Mm.
Have any of you guys actually had spam?
Oh,
I
Yeah.
love spam. Jinx.
Oh.
I don't know
Nice.
if I love
Nice.
spam, but my
Yeah, that's true. I don't love
best boy
spam. I like
Judah
it.
makes a really good
Oh.
spam musubi.
Oh, it's great.
Mm.
It's really good.
Oh,
Nice.
It's underrated.
I love spam.
I've never had it. So
Cameron, here's what you
someday
gotta
I'll have to
do. Yeah,
We'll have it on the podcast sometime.
You gotta
I'll go
s-
pick some up. There's, you know,
you gotta slice it up,
Okay.
and then you gotta put it on a fryer, some butter.
no, you don't need butter on spam.
Yeah, you do. You
Spam
put
is
this,
so fatty already.
dude. More fat, the better. Put it on the pan, fry it, then take some bread. It's really complicated. Take some bread, put some mayo on it, and then put the spam on the sandwich, and then you
I
eat
don't
it.
like mayo. I'm sorry.
You don't like mayo?
Well,
No, I don't like mayo.
why don't you like mayo?
It's disgusting. It's just like
Do you like Miracle
just
Whip?
salty and like nasty.
What is that?
That's basically mayo.
But it's Miracle.
It tastes like slightly different.
How do you feel about mustard?
Mustard's good.
Good. Like, do you have preference? Dijon?
If I'll just put it this way: if I'm having like a hot dog or like a hamburger, I would just put mustard on it.
Do you put ketchup on your hamburger?
No.
Or hot dog?
No,
That's
Do you
fair.
like sauerkraut?
I don't really like like Heinz 57 like
Yeah,
ketchup, like that prepared ketchup. It just has this weird like acidic taste,
Yeah.
and so I usually just take tomato paste and like make my own with like
It's also
agave. You
Water.
can put agave. You
Yeah.
can put
Brown
different-
sugar.
Yep, like brown sugar. You can put like different sorts of like spices and stuff. in there.
interesting.
Do you
Yeah.
like sauerkraut?
Cool. Sour of kraut.
You look like a guy who likes sauerkraut.
Yeah.
What about Cameron makes you think that he likes sauerkraut?
I think
His German heritage.
What do I?
the beard. I think you like more like intense flavors
What does that mean? Sauerkraut's not that intense.
to the average person.
Really?
Yeah, I think most people don't like
I,
sauerkraut.
What?
I would say it's intense.
Yeah. I like
Wow,
sauerkraut.
That's,
Sorry.
That's actually surprising.
I love sauerkraut.
One thing which I really enjoy, which I think a lot of people don't, is mushrooms.
Oh, I love
I really enjoy like sauteed mushrooms. Those are really good.
sauteed mushroom.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No,
I'm with you.
It's like the whole like I don't know the whole like texture of it. I do think that has like a place in cooking,
Mhm.
just because it helps to like give things moisture and give things like a certain texture. But the actual texture of the mushroom, I don't know. It's just kind of like rubbery.
Yeah, I'm
I
with
don't
you.
know, It's kind of
I agree.
I suppose I can get that. It really depends on how you cook it.
It does,
I like a raw mushroom. I don't like the texture
No.
either.
no.
But sauteed mushroom is just the flavor of it is so. I don't know. It's so like deep and mellow. I really enjoy it. It's something that's can't really be found elsewhere. Like I can't find any flavor like mushrooms.
You're
That's
taking
true.
those really big mushrooms and like you can cut it where it's like burger size, and some people eat like vegans eat mushroom.
What?
Ugh.
But that would be really good on a like a sautéed, like a huge just piece of mushroom sautéed on a burger.
You have to cut it pretty thick though.
Yeah, with some Swiss cheese.
And of course, it would shrink to about a quarter of its size. But
Yeah.
it's weird. It absorbs like 3 ounces of butter, and yet it shrinks. I still don't understand. But it's
Heck if I know.
Water.
What I really want to try is the mushroom, and I can't remember what it's called, but it's a mushroom that tastes like chicken and has a consistency of like chicken. Do you guys know what this is?
Mm.
Does this bring you to happy
I
places?
don't even know where you would find it. I don't even know what it is called.
Just type in mushroom
Oh,
that
here we
tastes like
go.
chicken.
How do you?
Oh, it's Latin. I can't read it.
Try.
I'll try. Leoporus suporius.
Yes.
Yes.
It's called chicken of the woods.
Chicken of the
Oh.
woods. I thought
It's
chicken
like
of the
chicken of
woods
the
was a
cave.
chicken.
No, it's a mushroom.
You know, chickens originated as jungle fowl. Did you know that?
Oh,
I would love to know how they
What?
survived for as long as they did without our help, because I've dealt with a lot of chickens and none of them seem like they could survive in the woods.
Because they've been domesticated.
I once had an animal which ran away from me into the woods, and I've never seen it since. It was a peahen, and it just like
What is a peahen?
a peahen is
Just like a small chicken.
no, you know, there you
One
guys
that can't control
peacocks,
its
right?
bladder.
So peacocks is a male peahen. A peacock is a male peahen.
Okay.
And so a peahen looks like that. It has that weird, gaudy, like bright white dots on its body and everything. But if it stops moving, it becomes invisible. It's one of those dazzle camouflages where it's like it sticks out so much, and then it stops moving in the grass, and you're like, where did it go?
Natural camouflage.
Natural camouflage.
Nice.
It's amazing.
you had this as a pet?
No, we had this as a freebie. Like, so I live on a farm. And when you order chicks from some companies, they'll send you like a freebie sometimes with them. Just like, oh, we can't get rid of
Buy
this
one, get
animal.
one free.
Yeah,
Buy
like,
one, get one free.
you buy like 200, you get a weird free animal. And they think people will like this sort of thing. And so we had this animal. Like, well, we got to take care of it, I guess. And so, yeah.
Did you eat it?
No, I couldn't find it again.
It ran away.
It ran into the woods. Apparently, it thought I was more dangerous than the predators in the world.
Yeah, it definitely died.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely died.
Unless it's preparing a guerrilla war. It's out there waiting, watching.
Could be.
Yeah.
Could be.
It's weird to think about like all the different animals and like fruits and vegetables and stuff that we've like domesticated
Yeah.
over like the period that like America has been around. Like I was looking at one the other day where it was like different vegetables like they were domesticated. So like corn, like before, it was like altered and domesticated. It was basically like uneatable. Basically, it was just like this thin like little strip of like kernels, and it was like green, and it was like super like grainy and just like hard. And not something that you would want to like eat with. Like even if you mashed it up, it wouldn't be like in a form that you could actually like safely eat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, then there's other weird ones like eggplants were totally different. Yes, it's weird. It's wild.
I like eggplants.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, they used to look like little green tomatoes.
Really?
Yeah. And then they, made them larger and made them purple for, I don't know, whatever reason.
For the emoji.
Here's a fun fact about.
How'd you wait? Sorry, say that again.
just waiting for Ethan to say that.
Yeah.
Did you say emoji?
The
Yeah.
emoji with the emojis.
We don't have to explain it.
Yeah. So. Oh gosh, Ethan. I was actually going to bring up a fact which I learned recently, which I thought was interesting. So, did you guys know that banana is a berry? I know.
Bananas were way different too.
Yeah, I believe
Before they
that.
were
Are plantains
Before
a
they were
berry too?
domesticated.
Plantains a berry too.
I don't know. Probably they're just like same family, roughly the same
Yeah.
kind of.
Did you know
Plantains
people
are weird.
people used to think that tomatoes were poisonous for the longest time?
Yeah, because they served it on silver,
Oh.
and silver reacts. So tomato reacts with silver and makes it poisonous.
Oh,
And
really?
So somebody proved that tomatoes were edible by eating it off of wood.
the tomato tree.
Nice.
Interesting, right? And green tomatoes are poisonous.
Oh,
Still-
did you?
Good to know.
Still wouldn't suggest eating a green tomato.
Did you guys know that turkeys, like the turkey animal, came from chickens and rabbits breeding together?
Are you sure that's true? Then
It's not true.
Ethan, you can't just believe everything we don't need.
No, I
Abraham Lincoln said that.
I just made that up. Sorry.
Did you know that turkeys were very close to becoming our national bird?
Yeah.
I actually think that would have been kind of cool.
They're pretty like fierce, you know. They're pretty like dangerous.
Yeah.
Well, no.
I'm kidding.
They are like, they're kind of, you know, they seem to fit a little bit, but the eagle is, I don't know, it's like a gigantic buzzard. It's very pretty, but
Or it's not a turkey. I like the eagle more.
yeah. I think the best
Right, but
national bird.
we don't have the eagle for Thanksgiving dinner. So.
Yeah. How about the albatross? What if we had the albatross be our national bird?
What do you think would be the state animal? No, let's say the city animal of Spokane. What would be the city animal?
Ground squirrels.
Yeah, some sort of squirrel because they're like literally everywhere.
I would say ground squirrels.
So we're the lilac city. So what are weird like bugs that ruin flowers?
Aphids.
What?
What?
What did you say?
Aphids.
Ethans?
Aphids.
Aphid, yes.
Ethan's.
Yes, Ethans.
When did we come to Lilac City? When did that happen?
I don't know. Probably when Spokane was actually founded, which was like what, like 1910, 1920, I don't know, something like that. Could be wrong. I'm probably wrong. Don't quote me on that, guys.
Joe and I were just looking. We were walking by the Masonic Temple the other day, so that's creepy. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's where the aliens live.
Yeah, that's where Cthulhu comes down to walk among men.
How sure are you guys that there isn't aliens? Like scale of 1 to 10, how positive are you that there is not aliens?
10.
Oh, really?
9.9.
9.9.
I would say that God doesn't tell anybody's story but their own.
So you're 10.
So yeah, I'd be like,
Okay.
if there were, we would never meet them and never know them, and it wouldn't matter.
I love like science
yeah.
fiction, and I love like the theory
Yeah,
and speculation of aliens. I think it's like super interesting.
yeah.
But in a practical sense, no.
And you know the
I
thing.
don't know how to explain like the thing there. You know, the aircrafts that people keep seeing that they
For
say
sure.
are like, you know, faster and more agile than like any you know, aircraft that we have made on Earth. And I don't know like what that would be, or like what the explanation for that would be. But
I don't know. I would
unless
say like
unless I
demons
see it with
would
my
be-
own two eyes.
Yeah, I would say like a really easy one would be demons, because I mean we're promised that in scriptures that like demons.
Right, but demons don't actually inhabit our physical plane
Demons don't inhabit
because they possess things.
possess.
No, they can still.
People.
They manifest. It says they manifest themselves as ministers of light, and so
That's true.
they can take form as whoever they want to,
And angels as well.
and angels as well.
Angels
I
as
mean,
well.
angels took form of men. They weren't possessing men. They were taking form of men.
Hmm.
So it seems like possible.
maybe.
It seems possible at least, if not probable, because the thing is like what that belief lends to seems to line up with like Satan's agenda so much, like the believing in aliens and stuff. And the crazy part though is like you were saying, I enjoy sci-fi because I don't believe aliens are real. You know,
Yeah.
just like you can enjoy Greek mythology because you don't believe Zeus is real. If you actually believed in the pantheon, you'd be freaked out by all these stories. You'd be like, oh, I'm gonna die. Oh no, I better make some sacrifices right now. But yeah, when you actually believe in those stories, it ruins them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like 19. No, I'm like 19. Whoa, I'm like 9.999% sure. Yeah. There's a sliver of a chance that they're real. I'm not going to totally discount it. I've just seen some stuff. Not with my own eyes.
stuff.
Not with my own two eyes, but you know, on Discovery Channel, they'll convince you.
YouTube.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a lot like Bigfoot and the Loch Ness Monster, both of which
I
are
know people that believe in
phenomenons.
Bigfoot.
Yeah, like it's not a matter of believing or not believing, because as far as I'm concerned, it could be like both. You know, it could be made up and it could be real, because especially with the Loch Ness Monster, there's a lot of evidence of other stories around the world of monsters which are a lot like dinosaurs, which are still around. Like I remember reading or listening to some anecdotes from the Congo about there's this creature where like the locals actually have a name for it and everything, and it's highly aggressive, and it's this gigantic lizard, and
Nice.
and it has like a long neck like a small brontosaurus or whatever, and so they have a name for it and everything, but people will call that a legend because we obviously dinosaurs.
But how do you know it isn't just like a really large lizard?
Well, It is a really large
like
lizard.
a Gila monster or something like that.
A Gila monster?
A Gila monster.
In the Congo. Well, that's a really good point. That would be
Because that is I believe, like a tropical. Is that a tropical animal? The Gila monster. I believe it is, right? Because like really large
desert area.
Desert.
Yeah, the Gila monster
okay.
would be desert. But I mean, something like that. That's a really good question. I'm not a biologist, so I don't really know. But it's one of those things where like they've described it. I remember hearing a story. There are these like 5 swimmers, these 5 divers that went out one night, and only one guy came back. Like there's this story which apparently wasn't highly publicized, but I remember like reading it, and this guy came back, and he was describing how he was being chased by this thing in the water which had a long neck and had he said it looked like a lamp. Like the face was like a lamp.
Nice.
And he could hear the screams of the people behind him as they were being dragged down into the water
Dang.
and stuff. So I mean, like, there's all kinds of those stories,
Yeah.
especially like with the Loch Ness monster. There's far too much evidence to say it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
But it's a self-fulfilling prophecy of deception because when somebody believes in something like that, then there are people who will falsify evidence to make it more true than it is.
Yeah.
And so
That's a cryptid. That's the one called the Jersey Devil. And it's basically a horse that has wings, like bat wings, and then it has tusks like a ram.
You just thought of putting a picture of a devil just right in the middle of your workspace?
Yep. No, I made that. Yeah.
All right, Cameron.
It was for like a bunch of artists like got together, and then we each like picked a cryptid and did like a sketch, and then we all like traded sketches. So we had someone else's sketch, and then you had to make a print like of that, like based on that sketch. And so we all had different ones. Like one person had Bigfoot, one person had like Mothman.
Oh, that's cool.
All those different ones. Yeah, I find it interesting to like learn about those, because it's like, at what point is it just like someone has perceived something to be something that it's not, and then based on that story, other people like project their ideas onto like actual occurrings, and then it becomes a thing. Like, at what point does like something become an actual thing? I don't know. It's really interesting.
Because we have such limited perception, that's really difficult. But I think there's a lot more times than we give credit for, especially now that we think we're enlightened, because people believe that since we have science, since we have the scientific method, that all of a sudden we know things that we don't actually know, that we can prove things. For example, proving extinction. Like, to prove something is extinct, we'd actually have to be all around the world at the same time and all agree there's nothing here. All we can prove is like, we haven't seen one for a very, very, very long time. So yeah, with something like that, I wonder how much of it though is actually just descriptions using things they know. Like, for example, the horse with bat wings with horns. It's like, how much of that is just fantastical, like people adding on ideas, and how much of it is trying to explain something without having the vocabulary. So like using known things to describe something. I mean, think of the giraffe. The way the giraffe was described back in England, before they had one to show, before they had scientifically described every element, it was described as like it had like the skin of a leopard, and then it had horns, but it had like the neck of an elephant. Like, there's all kinds of weird things that were used to describe it.
It was like I think it was the skull of a hippo, and someone thought that it was like a prehistoric dinosaur or something like that, just because of the way that the skull looked. Or maybe it wasn't a hippo. It was something similar to that. But yeah, like if you look at, or maybe it was an elephant. It might have been an elephant. Like, when you look at the skull of this animal, it looks like something completely different.
Yeah.
And people would just,
who just
they perceived that, and so then they made that a reality until, people actually figured it out. Yeah.
I remember hearing a story in Scotland. There was this prehistoric man, like this bone found. You might find this funny. So there's this bone that was found later. It was discovered that it was forged. Big surprise there. So it was a proof for an evolutionary, what would that be called? The missing link, like proof for a missing link that later turned out to be forged. Missing link. Anyway, I thought it was interesting. You guys know Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the writer for Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah.
It's highly probable, so I read, that it was actually him that like played a joke on a buddy of his, and then it became something that's actually in the science books. It's like,
that's
this is proof for evolution, but it's probably, so I hear like Sir Arthur Conan Doyle being like, I want to play a joke on the public.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, so people thought that it was a cyclops.
Wow.
But no, it's just an elephant skull.
Type in naked
awesome.
monkey.
What?
Naked bear. Type in naked bear.
Okay.
Those-
I think I've seen those. They look pretty
Yeah.
freaky.
They do look very freaky.
What? Naked bear?
You've seen it.
What the?
No.
Yeah.
You've seen it, Robbie.
It
No,
looks.
I haven't.
Yeah, it's pretty weird. I don't
That is so odd.
know. Oh, no. Yeah.
Naked man. Oh, jeez.
I don't know.
Nice.
I don't know if I think it's that odd.
It's pretty weird. It's like seeing a hairless cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hairless cat's kind of like,
Hairless anything's a little
Weird.
bit.
Yeah.
I'm hairless.
yeah.
You don't wink after you say that.
I don't have any. Like I have no arm hair, so my
What are these? That's arm hair.
barely any.
That's
Jeez.
at least
You
it's
have hair on your head.
down.
And your
What?
eyebrows.
I do. Yeah. Actually, it does look weird when like people don't have eyebrows or
Yeah.
eyelashes.
It's very
I knew a kid in
interesting.
high school actually, or middle school. Yeah, in middle school, he just shaved his eyebrows off, and everyone was like,
Bro.
I have a cousin.
Bro.
I had a cousin who actually had a disorder where he lost all his hair.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, and so
Dang.
like he had to get surgery to put. I think it was actually ink in his head. To
I was
make
gonna
it
say,
look
did
like
he
tattoo
get,
it,
did
right?
he
To
get
make it look-
tattooed like eyebrows?
I
and hair and
think yeah,
stuff?
he did something. It was something beyond just tattoo because I think something about tattoos like doesn't stay right. It doesn't look right, and it wasn't implants,
Yeah,
but it was
like fades and blurs.
Yeah,
over
it fades a
time.
lot. I think pretty
yeah.
quickly.
It was
Yeah.
really interesting though. Like I thought that was really cool. He's a cool guy.
That's
Yeah.
like the one reason why I like continue to hesitate getting a tattoo is because I know that over time, like it's gonna get blurry and like not as vibrant and it's just gonna like look weird.
Mhm.
And I don't want to just like keep having to go back and like continue to touch it up over time.
I also like. I mean, think about it. I regret what I ate this morning oftentimes. So like you have so many regrets for your decisions, and then that regret you'll never be able to just walk past that regret. It will be with you everywhere.
You can run past.
How do you feel about this as someone with tattoos?
I feel fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't regret them?
Are they getting blurry yet, or do they still look pretty good?
Yeah, I say one of them because it's like 5 years now.
Yeah.
5 years, man.
Do you need to
Dude.
get touched up then?
Yeah, probably. I think I don't know what they say about how often, but yeah.
I think if you did get a tattoo,
What, 5, 10
getting a
years?
simple design instead of something with like multiple colors and shades and
Yeah.
stuff like that is a lot wiser when it comes to like how much it will fade and change because a simple design can't fade that
Yeah.
much.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, something bold.
Something
Simple.
bold. Yeah.
I've been I've been thinking about doing a tattoo for the past 2 years, off and on.
What's your idea?
She's never what?
What's your
I mean, it's nothing crazy. It's just a tattoo
Tramp
right
stamp.
above my buttock. No, I'm just kidding. Just on my like, is it feminine? I'm just genuine question. Is it
You can't
feminine?
get this out. We're keeping this. Go ahead.
That's
Okay,
fine. I
go,
don't
Joe.
care. Is it feminine to have a wrist tattoo? Like, is that
No.
Yes.
a feminine?
I don't know.
You
I
know,
know.
you know what's feminine?
What?
Getting like wings on your back. That's pretty feminine.
I wasn't planning on getting wings on my back,
Okay, good.
but
Or the trees on your wrists.
You know what's feminine?
Butterflies.
Wearing
or like
dresses.
or like leaves like on your arm,
Yeah.
like a vine with leaves. Like that's pretty feminine.
okay. So I was thinking about getting like flowers all down my arm.
Yeah.
Would that be considered feminine?
No.
Oh, can you tell me
Okay.
about
What
the
kind of
tattoo you had?
flowers?
Yeah,
I'm just
Are they,
kidding.
Like Japanese like flowers, or are they like
Lilacs.
Lilac City, baby.
No, that's way too masculine.
You should-
Represent.
Yeah, that'd be like
I think you could. I think you
overcompensating.
could probably pull it off.
Do you think Joey could pull off that?
I think
What?
so.
Flowers on my arm.
Yeah.
I think you could pull it off.
I think it depends on the flowers.
Get some earrings too.
Oh yeah.
Some gauges.
No.
Lip piercing though, that's when it becomes too much.
Or like tongue.
Ooh,
Tongue
it's
piercing.
painful.
It really bothers me because it's like, what is the point? Like at that point, you're just asking for an infection.
I have to ask though because it is something. I mean, you're not. Lip piercings are meant for aesthetic, right?
Yeah.
And
don't
so
know.
you don't pierce
A tongue
something which you don't
piercing-
show, right?
Right. That's not what a tongue piercing is for.
Well, people get piercings that the general public can't see.
All right. All right. Moving on.
Moving on. Yes. And none of them seem like good ideas.
No, I would just say stay away from like, piercings or like anything
I had my ears
similar to
pierced.
that.
Well, I'll go back
It's
to
just
the
too much
tattoo.
maintenance.
My ears,
You
I
get
still
earrings?
have my ears pierced.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could probably do an earring.
I could.
Yeah.
I did. I had double piercings for a while.
I know.
Now I just have these, which I wear earrings like once a year just to see if they still fit. I'll wear them for a day. So
Wow,
Yeah.
Look at you.
yeah, like
All right. Do we need to like go to the bathroom, get out of here or something?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
I was just gonna say that I love being on this podcast.
oh, cool.
I do too.
Okay.
I'm a little bit tall for these mics, but yeah.
You just gotta like slouch over it.
Yeah, well, that's what I was doing. I was like, now I can speak more comfortably.
I mean, if you want to donate, a couple $100, you could get like the really fancy.
Ooh,
ones with,
that, like,
the
come down?
arms.
Or we could
Yeah.
fundraise. We could fundraise, Cam.
Please don't hold it. It sounds terrible.
Oh.
What?
I said we could fundraise.
Solution achieved. Does that sound better?
Yeah, sounds pretty good.
Cool.
All right. Yeah. It's interesting. So one of the things which I think about often, especially with piercings and tattoos, is their like cultural significance, like what they mean, the thing themselves, not just what you write. But with piercings and tattoos, there's significance attached to it, and how piercings have almost universally been a sign of slavery or a sign of ownership, which is like something that you want to think about before you do. But also tattoos too have a lot of attachment to, like, I don't know, I guess sailors. I remember being like, sailors were known for having tattoos because they were the only ones who went to the islands where the tattoo artists were, operating out of.
Yep.
And so it's very interesting thinking about it like throughout history. Now it's become mainstream, just like yoga's become mainstream.
It's art now.
Yeah, now it's art.
Yoga.
It used to be.
Yoga.
It used to have a lot more significance. It used to have a lot more literal meaning behind it.
Yeah, it was more
Yeah.
like you were signing your allegiance to something, whether it be like, you're in the military and everyone in your squad, your platoon or whatever, gets a brand, that represents that company. Or, if you're like you were saying, like sailor, like, there's different like sailor tattoos and stuff, but it was all like, I feel like historically, you were basically showing that you're like loyal to a certain thing. Whereas now it's just like, it's just like a cool like piece of art that I put on my body.
Yeah. But it makes me think there's a lot of those things which used to have, a lot more meaning behind them, but over time they've just become what you do. There's a lot of those things where we just don't really realize like what they mean or what they meant to begin with.
Oh, everything.
And in things such as mundane as like tattoos, or even just what we wear too.
True.
Sorry, Joey. I really need to get that fixed.
Yeah, I've just been playing with it.
Please don't play.
Sorry. You got any bread left?
Yeah.
Let's get that bread.
That bread, Joey.
No, man. I don't need it. Yeah, I'm good. Sorry.
What is the most exotic place that you guys have been to?
Costa Rica.
Costa Rica. You.
Guadalajara, Mexico.
Nice.
Could you say that again?
Guadalajara, Mexico. It's really not that tropical, but we went south to a place that was a lot more tropical, like a smaller town south of Guadalajara.
Cool.
It was fun.
Hawaii.
That sounds pretty nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Nothing
Just
crazy.
ritzy. Just, gosh.
Like you could live in
Well,
Hawaii.
which island?
Like
in
you seem
Hawaii?
like that
Kona.
type of person.
Kona.
I could have a condo in Hawaii that I go to, a couple months out of the year.
So Kona isn't like one of the big main islands, right? It's not.
It's a
as
little
touristy.
island. Yeah.
And so the little islands are known for being more traditional, aren't they?
Yeah, isn't Kona considered to be like the best one to go if you're like sightseeing?
I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on.
Or is it Maui that's considered like, it's the biggest, so it's the best?
I'm not sure. It was cool though. There was like a lot of cool beaches, black sand beach, different colored sand beaches.
Did you have Kona coffee while you were there?
I did. There was volcanoes. I honestly just liked laying outside and tanning. Like I don't.
Nice.
I'm a pretty simple guy.
Simple man.
Simple man. I just like laying outside. First time I got sunburnt was laying out by the pool though. It wasn't even that bad of a sunburn, but I felt it because I've never been sunburned before.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Weird.
Yeah. It's the most exotic place. A lot of white people though, because it's tourist area.
Mm.
So
Very touristy.
Okay.
yeah.
I want to go to Hawaii someday, but go to like the really, really small islands where like
Yeah.
people hardly go. Because I heard someone was telling me that like on those small islands, people treat you like an outsider. Like people don't like you invading that. Like that's where the Hawaii is. The other places that's tourists.
Right.
But there, that's actually that's where the people of Hawaii live, and they'll just like stare you down until you leave. But I don't know that from experience, and I want to experience that kind of ostracism.
What? I have a question.
Yes.
What is the main thing that gets you out of bed in the morning? So like when you're laying in your bed and you're like, I don't want to get up at all. What's the thing that just drives you and gets you up?
Fear.
It's a great question.
Fear?
I'm kind of kidding.
No, you're not. Expound on that?
Well, I have to get to work on time.
Yeah.
So it's not really fear. Like what, like literally,
You literally
gets me
have
out
to
of
get-
bed,
yeah.
or like
motivates
me to get out of bed.
For
Like,
sure.
Yeah.
what
The fear.
motivates
If I
me-
don't go to work, I'm gonna get fired. If I
Oh,
get
no.
fired, then this is gonna happen.
No. What motivates me to get out of bed? What God's called me to do, being a good steward, just using my time wisely. I think it's the big one. Actually, probably using my time wisely. It's like, okay, I'm gonna wake up at this time to do as much as I can do to the best of my abilities. So you can lay in bed until 11 a.m. in the morning, but then it's like you stumble out of bed, you eat breakfast, you shower. It's 12:30, and then it's just,
That's a real phenomenon, being like sleep drunk, where you almost have a hangover from sleep, where you just like sleep too much, and instead of feeling more rested, you just feel like awful, like you want to go back to bed.
it's true. It's your old REM cycle.
Yeah.
That's why I don't take naps, because I just like feel horrible. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you don't take naps because you don't sleep.
No, I feel like with me, I get up because I feel like if I don't get up, I'm like missing out on like there's stuff that needs to be done, and if I
Yeah.
don't get up and get to it, like I'm gonna miss out on things, and I'm gonna waste time. I don't know. It's like it's kind of like FOMO. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like while I'm sleeping here, someone else has already been at work for like 2 hours. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
kind of
So win the
weird
day.
mentality. Yeah.
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 That makes
I'd say in
sense.
my case, it's like I guess enjoying life as much as possible. I mean, my first thought was like glorifying God in my body, and how like living today well makes every tomorrow better and every yesterday.
living to
perfection,
makes
you know?
every tomorrow better. That's a good quote.
It's actually an amalgamation of a poem. But yeah, it is a really great principle. And that's what I think of, like glorifying God in my body. Because I think of that scripture in Corinthians where it says like how like God is for the body, like the body is for the Lord and the Lord is for the body. And growing up, I hadn't really thought about that, but recently I've been thinking about that more and more, about like God is actually for our body. Like our body and our living is not wrong. It's not like a second best thing. Like God is actually for us. Not just for us as in like on our side, but also for us, like he is rooting for our happiness. No, happiness is not the right word. Joy. He's rooting for our joy. He's rooting for our joy, and he wants us to enjoy what he's created. He doesn't want us to just like take it and say, oh, this is okay. No, he wants us to enjoy what he's created. And that's one of the things which helps me get out of bed in the morning, is like, how can I glorify God in my body in the way God's created me?
That's cool.
It's a good question though. Yeah.
Yeah. I had a less good question, but I want to hear your answer before I ask it.
Something, it's been like recent thing. It's just been like practicing, like denying myself. Like if I know in my head I have had enough sleep, if I had 8 hours, if I get in bed at like 10, I'm trying to wake up at 7 or something. I don't know if that's 8 hours, but 6, I don't know. If I know I've had 8 hours, I can get up fine. And so it's a good practice of like, that's been a recent thing. Like now the basic premise of following, of being an apprentice of Jesus is saying I'm following his ways. So I'm going to deny myself of this sleep. I don't need 12 hours, you know,
Yeah.
I don't need this. And so
It's 9 hours.
I would
Okay.
argue that you don't need 8 hours, but I don't want to be like controversial. I'm just saying, like, you know, I feel like 7, if you get 7, you're probably good. I mean, it's different for everyone.
Yeah.
And I wish I could function like really well on 5 hours. Like,
Yeah,
that'd be
me too.
awesome. Get those hours back. Honestly, I wish I didn't have to sleep.
Oh no,
But
no.
That's one of those things, like, I mean, just think about like if you didn't have to sleep,
Manic
how much
all
you
the
would get
time.
done.
You just feel with more
I feel
busyness.
like God made rest for a
You just
purpose.
feel like
He did, for
I feel
sure,
like
yeah.
from work, even if you didn't
And
need
then
it, I
night
feel
for,
like you
like-
need it just to not do
Yeah.
anything.
If you don't need it physically, I think it's still
mentally,
important. I mean,
spiritually, just
it is-
for your
it is
brain to
required.
not do
That's
anything.
true. At that point, we're just robots, right?
Yeah,
I do-
I
Just
am a
machines.
robot.
I do agree. Like, there's something really pleasurable and good about sleep. But I agree with what Cameron, and I think what you're getting at is that there seems to be a lot of time wasted in sleep. Like, there's a lot of times when you're trying to sleep and you set this aside to, like, the time aside to sleep, right? But you can't fall asleep, or you are like not sleeping in that deep sleep, which actually gives you rest. You just kind of like this half, almost less than rest. Like it would almost be better sometimes to just be working and then have that deep sleep rather than having more
Just laying in
sleep.
bed for like an hour going, why am I
What's-
here?
what's-
I could be doing something else.
Yeah.
An author, a pastor in the Midwest that was a part of the ministry I was a part of. I never read his book, but I heard about it. He was just talking about, and I wonder if you guys have experienced this, and I don't know if this is the direction you want to go with the podcast, but it's interesting. Like, he was just saying, when we wake up, basically we have tons of lies that are flooding our head. Right when we wake up, the moment we wake up, boom, like you're getting lies all the time. And so he basically talked about, like, when you wake up, we should basically embrace the sorrow. So, like, embrace the reality of the lies. Like, the lies are probably true. Like, part of the lies are actually probably true. Like, I don't deserve God's love. It's true. You don't. You know, like, I don't deserve to wake up today. Or, you know, like, you're going to have some intense lies firing at you. And then he said, so, like, embrace those lies, embrace the sorrow of those lies, and then filter it with the gospel and filter with truth before you even get up and go for the day.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been thinking about lately. Like, I wake up and I just feel guilty, and I didn't even do anything wrong. I just feel guilt. And it's like, okay, there's probably some truth to the guilt. Embrace it. How does the gospel filter into that? And then walk through my day. That's what I've been thinking about
Do
lately.
you wake up feeling guilty?
It really depends on how much sleep I got. I think a lot of times, one of the things which I've been realizing more and more, especially today, was how much I overanalyze I'll act as if something going on in my heart is a moral issue when oftentimes it's as simple as I have low blood sugar. You know, it's like a lot of times, like, I'll be thinking like, oh my gosh, I'm so horrible right now. I'm struggling with depression. I feel so
Snickers.
far from God. And sometimes it's as simple as take a nap, you know?
Some jazz.
Yeah, I need some
Jazz.
cool
A
jazz.
Snickers candy
Yeah.
bar.
Anyway, so I totally
when
get what
you're
you're saying though.
Yeah.
One thing which one thing, like, every morning when I wake up, and I've already told you guys all this, but I think it's worth repeating. Every morning when I wake up, I feel the need to, like, crawl back on the altar. And so when I pray in the morning, like, my first thought in the morning, not quite my first thought. There's oftentimes thoughts which are like, oh my gosh, I need to go to work. And then you know, once you're in control of yourself, my first thought is praying, like, God, help me crawl back onto the altar for today. And then secondly, God, sanctify this day for yourself. Like, set it apart from the other days.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's cool. I was talking to one of the dudes from the church. He was just saying, like, before he even goes to the bathroom, like, if he doesn't go to the bathroom before, like, preaching, I think it's Ephesians 6 to himself, like the belt of salvation and the belt of truth, the helmet of salvation, all that stuff. Like, if he doesn't do that
Armor
before,
of God.
yeah, the armor of God. Basically, if he doesn't do that before he goes to the bathroom, like, he feels the need to, like, repent before he even starts the day.
Oh yeah,
Like, that's
fruits of the spirit and the full armor of God
Don't you do that?
every morning. But yeah, that's interesting because I don't normally feel the guilt or remorse or needing to, like, go to the altar until later in my day. Like, after, it's like, oh, I did this wrong. I did this wrong. I did this. When I wake up, it's like, okay, it's a new day. It's like, I'm forgiven of my sins. It's another way, like, another day to start my day. I've never, like, there's times, you know, you feel guilty or you're thinking about things, arguments, things that you've done in the past. Maybe you go to bed in the wrong mindset and you wake up kind of feeling that way. But most of the times I wake up and it's like, okay, time to attack the day. Let's do it.
Yeah.
But then the guilt and, like, the things I've done wrong, the conviction comes later in the day, not
Yeah.
right when I wake up.
Yeah, I've noticed that too. Like, for me, since I pray in the evening before I go to bed, and I take that time to, like, anything I can think of, just, like, and repent of, like, anything that I have to repent of, which I feel is, like, weighing on my heart. That's when I try to do that. But like you say, Ethan, if you don't do that, like, or if you somehow trick yourself into not doing that, you wake up in the morning feeling like that guilt. Or, I mean, sometimes too, it might just be bad digestion.
I like the song, like, the today's you have.
Oh yeah.
This is the day. Hey,
this is the day. I remember going to evangelical church. My parents still go, actually, but for at least several years when I was like 10 to like 13, I got baptized by the pastor there.
Nice.
And every single service started with that song. That was always the call to worship song.
Yeah.
Every single service.
You get tired of it?
No. I was too young to get tired of it. I was like,
nice.
I mean, was I tired of going to church? Maybe. Yeah. But the song itself, especially so much of it has to do with the attitude of the person leading it and how much they care about it. And it was like, it was definitely an expression of a lot of the people there. Like that was an honest expression. Like, this is the day the Lord has made. Let's rejoice. I just think that's really cool.
That's cool.
But that brings back such memories. The helicopter noises. The gunfire. Yeah.
The evangelical church.
Evangelical. Was it a
Evangelical
white
church.
evangelical church?
What? Why would you assume that? I know we're in the Pacific Northwest.
Oh yeah.
Jeez. Don't. Obviously, Pacific Islander.
So cultured.
Marshallese.
Hmm?
You know the Marshallese.
Oh, Marshall Islands.
Marshall Islands. Yeah. Was it a Marshall Islands evangelical church?
No.
That's
It
crazy.
It was Anglo-Saxon. Yeah.
Anglo-Saxon.
It's okay. Persecute me because I'm racist. Anyway,
We're gonna get canceled.
I wanted to ask you guys a question.
Yeah.
So this is a really interesting question to me because you can tell a lot about a person by like what preys upon their fears. Now, you guys have probably all watched some horror movies. I'm interested to know what horror movies actually like affected you and what horror movies didn't, because it's very interesting. So like,
that's a good question.
Yeah. So what kind of horror movies, and then also beyond that too, like what kind of mythical monsters do you guys find actually frightening?
So I've watched probably 3 horror movies in my entire life. And one of them was, I don't know if you can classify it as horror. It was The Woman in Black
What?
with
Never
Daniel
heard of that.
Radcliffe.
Men in Black?
The Woman in Black.
Woman in Black. The Woman in Black. That's the sequel.
It wasn't
Now that
really
we're talking
that.
more politically correct.
Yeah.
Right.
Like
Was
all women, not all men.
a movie called
They don't need no man.
I was in like 6th grade. It was called like the Devil Inside. And then A Paranormal Activity. Those
the
two,
first
though,
paranormal.
it was one of them. I think I watched it with Joey. Actually.
Yeah.
Paranormal.
I don't remember, but I always
five?
freaked
No,
out
it's just-
about that stuff.
Yeah.
Really?
Because my mom's always like, "Oh, spiritual warfare. You know,
Yeah.
you grew up. Spiritual warfare is real.
Yeah.
Just like life experiences. It's like, okay, yeah, you don't mess with this stuff." I always got so freaked out. Like I can't watch it. Never will. Can't watch like the Ghost Hunters. Nothing.
Not even
get
Ghostbusters.
None. Ghostbusters is fine.
Okay.
But nothing paranormal. I can't. I don't even like talking about it in like lighthearted conversation.
Yeah, I feel like there's different classifications of horror movies.
But like
because you have like really grounded
pray over
ones.
this room now.
They're
with that
like,
picture. And,
you know, they can have action, they can have comedy,
Holy water.
and then you
Sure,
have
yeah.
like cults
Yeah.
/ paranormal ones. So I don't know. I feel like there's different classifications of them. I feel like for me, that is a great question. I'm gonna have to think about like what specifically is one that like would affect me more. I mean, I love them, but I think I kind of tend towards non-supernatural ones are just more enjoyable for me.
Yeah.
Like,
really
especially
enjoy
ones where
supernatural
they're just like really like schlocky with a lot of like practical effects,
Hannibal.
and ones that are just like super fun, like not taking it seriously. I really like that kind of brand of like, you know, like the Evil Dead series would be like an example, like a little bit of like, you know, like supernatural stuff, but for the most part, it's like pretty grounded.
I like Final Destinations.
Really? You like Final Destination?
They were super cheesy, but I did enjoy them.
They're pretty bad.
They were pretty bad. I was so young though that it was like, yeah.
The was that 1 or 2? The one where it's like they're on the road, they're like driving on the road, and there's like that truck with all the logs on it.
Oh yeah.
Is that 1? I think
What?
that was
I don't remember. I just remember I like the one with the roller coaster.
So,
Nice.
Final Destinations. What is that? I don't know it.
Isn't it like death stalks after these different like teenagers because they've like escaped death somehow or something? Isn't that kind of what it's about?
And it's like it's like predict, like they see into the future of like what's going to happen, and then it happens.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like
Interesting. Like a
someone's
paranormal
gonna
movie.
die.
Yeah, I agree with what you were
Death.
saying about like the paranormal. I think for the most part, it's just cheap. Like it just doesn't take as much thought to make a paranormal movie. It feels like than a really good sci-fi horror or a really good like thriller. So I compare like what Hitchcock wrote with his thrillers compared with what a paranormal one is, and I agree. It like takes more thought, and I think it's more enjoyable. Yeah. How about you, Joey? What was like a horror movie that really
I was just gonna say, Casper really freaked me out when I.
Casper?
Like the animated,
Oh
like a
my
live action
word.
animated
Yeah,
one?
you know, the haunted house, Casper in the haunted house. I'm just kidding. No, when I was little though, there's a big Catholic church downtown that you always drive to get on the highway, and I would always say that's Casper's house when I was like a little taller. Anyway,
adorable.
yeah, yeah, I just agree with paranormal stuff as well.
Yeah.
Scariest for me.
Scary stuff.
I think one that
Spooky.
I thought was more effective, because I usually don't get like necessarily like freaked out from like horror movies, but I think some emit more of like a visceral reaction than others. And the Babadook was really good in the sense where it had that it got like the kind of the sense of dread like across without being like super in your face.
And what's
And
horrifying?
I feel like
about
it was really effective. Yeah.
What's horrifying about Babadook? What is Babadook? I don't know it.
Yeah, so the Babadook, basically it's about a young mother, and she's like single, and her kid who is like super like rowdy and obnoxious and like is always like acting up at school and stuff. So she thinks that she's being haunted by like this I don't even know what to call it, like a ghost or like some sort of presence, and like it keeps haunting her. And she's going through like grief of her own, and so it's like it's a lot of like psychological stuff, and it just really gets across that feeling like the bottom of your stomach, like that feeling of just like just like dreading every moment. And there's not actually like a ton of jump scares or like anything like that. So it's not really like super like in your face kind of stuff. But yeah, it is like pretty dark, and basically the monster is basically like a personification of her grief. And so the whole thing is essentially an allegory, which I think is really cool. Basically like it's her coming to terms with like her grief and learning how to like control it. Knowing that like it's never gonna like completely go away, and so she has to learn to live with like this monster. Dang. And it has a cool ending. But yeah, it just it kind of got to me. But that being said, not a lot of horror movies get to me.
What's the deeper meaning? You said that you can learn a lot about. No, you said that you can learn a lot about from people from what scares them. What do you think is the deeper meaning behind that?
I don't know, dude. I mean, I've seen a lot of like pretty in your face, kind of like, pretty like gory stuff. But like that's not the stuff that necessarily scares me. It's like like the more kind of like the underlying like kind of emotional side of things.
Okay.
I feel like is more haunting.
It
sticks with you more.
Yeah.
I watched The Shining recently, and that they do really good at that, where they don't do jump scares in The Shining. But they do have some really great moments where it's like that underlying feeling of just dread.
That movie is a masterpiece, and I love how I don't know if you have pulled this out from watching it, but essentially the camera is basically the hotel. You're basically, because a lot of the camera shots, like the opening shot where it's like the camera that's like gliding over the lake, is very like disembodied, kind of almost like ghost-like. Yeah. And throughout the movie, the camera is always in this like very like voyeuristic point of view where you're following characters, and it gets across this really eerie feeling of like almost you are the monster that is like watching these different characters. And,
like you don't belong. Yeah.
It's very like an eerie feeling, because you're basically just camera that's just floating around and like watching everything. All the shots where like Danny's on his tricycle and he's like going down the hallway.
I have to admit,
you're following him like down the hallway. Yeah. But you can't see, you're like so close to him that you can't see like what's around the corner. Yeah. And it's just really like really well done. And most of it is like silent. Like there isn't really any music for, like a lot of it. It's just like
the music they do play is very ominous. Yeah, anyway.
It's very like 80s, like synthy.
80s horns, a lot of horns in that show.
Okay.
One movie which I watched at a young age, which I thought was absolutely horrifying. Well, actually, 2 movies. First one, Larry Boy and the Rumor Weed. Horrifying.
I can attest to that. Yeah.
To a 5-year-old. It's like frightening.
The weed that's like growing beneath the city.
It's creepy. And then the Larry Boy shows up in the bottom and is like, mother, it's all frightening for a 5-year-old. However, beyond that, I think when I was like 10, we watched Alien, the original
That's
Alien.
A good one. That's a good
and
one. Yeah.
that one's frightening.
What was there a specific scene that freaked you out?
So I wasn't frightened by the popping out of his chest scene.
That's surprising.
No, I really wasn't like super scared by that, but I was kind of more scared of like the claustrophobia, dark hallways, knowing that there's a monster there, and like knowing that monster like takes advantage of like your body in like disgusting ways. It's not that idea of basically like using you against you is horrifying. Like, because the idea of a parasite that kills you is pretty scary. Yeah. And so I think for me, it was really tough to watch. I didn't actually watch it all either. I like mid movie, I like left trying to find anything else to do. And then I was riveted back to the screen, like towards the last quarter of the movie.
Yeah, so that movie does a really good job of like kind of subverting your expectations. Because like at the beginning, you know, with all of like the tone of it is very much like kind of like Star Wars, like kind of mysterious, but most like we're exploring space and, you know, that kind of tone. And then it just quickly devolves into just straight up like, we're going to probably die.
I love that catchphrase for the movie. In space, no one can hear you scream.
Jeez.
I know, creepy, right? It's a creepy. Have you seen the movie?
No, I haven't.
Would you be interested in watching it? We should get together and watch it.
We should.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
I haven't seen.
But yes, I am down. By the way,
I have not seen.
You haven't seen it.
The
Have you seen it?
The Thing. That one is also another good movie. Body horror. So The Thing.
The Thing is really
2
good.
movies that go really well together in my mind is Invasion of the Body Snatchers and The Thing, because they're both kind of like the fear of imposter.
Yeah.
Except the feeling, it's almost like the reverse of the same feeling, because in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you begin to feel like you're the minority. And you're like, in Invasion of the Body Snatchers, you get this feeling like, why is everybody around me changed? Like I'm being hunted down, but no one's there to help me. Like no one would help me if I screamed for help.
Or like your friends aren't really your friends.
Your friends aren't really your friends. There's no life there. They're no longer human. And that was all part of the Red Scare. With it's creepy because like, you have the feeling that you could be I'm sorry, I meant The Thing, but in The Thing, you get this feeling that you could be the thing, like the character that you thought is safe is not safe.
Oh dang.
And
you just see like there's a dog that is like the patient zero, and so there are scenes where it's like nobody knows that the dog is an alien, and so it's just walking around in the space, and you're like, oh snap, like who is it going to go for? And then you just see a scene where like a guy goes into his room and the dog like follows him in, and then it cuts and you're like, oh yeah, he's dead.
He's gone. And then at the very end of the movie, you still don't know, like it's kind of like
it's kind of like a whodunit.
It is a whodunit, but it's like a who is it?
Because like all the characters are like,
who's the thing?
We got to figure out like who it is, and so then they're trying to like deduct, and they're like, oh well, this person.
Why is it called The Thing?
Alibi.
So The Thing is because the Thing is like this amorphous creature that assumes other things' identities and will like synthesize, like the cell of this thing will synthesize and be able to shapeshift.
It like assimilates you.
Could there have been a more clever name for the movie?
I think it's perfect.
It's based off of a short story. It's based off of a short story which we read.
Is my very ignorant right now and how?
No, you're not. One of the coolest parts about the movie though is the ending, because the ending is like the right amount of resolution while
it's ambiguous.
Still being ambiguous. Like you don't know at the very end. It's like, did the good guys win? Do
you think that Childs was the thing?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I trust Keith David. I love him too much. Yeah.
So the fact that he didn't have any like breath vapor, you think that was just a film? You just think that was like a film mistake?
The breath vapor?
Yeah. Well, it was cold outside. Yeah. He doesn't have breath.
So
according
to the science of it, the Thing does breathe. So like the Thing just becomes you. So according to like in the book, it described how it worked. And the big reason why the Thing was impossible to tell was because it wasn't just like an alien pretending to be you. It literally was you. The cells were completely, you couldn't tell the difference. The only way they could tell was when they got like the blood separate from it. And once
Yeah.
it became separate from it, then that is its own entity. Like that, the blood is its own thing. And so it will try to protect itself. If you like zap it, it will try to, you know, attack you,
Yeah.
the blood. And so like, that's one of the big ways they could test it.
But that's what's fascinating about it, is that everyone has a different opinion.
Yeah.
And some people like me take different, things in that scene that happen, different, you could say they're clues, you could say they're mistakes, whatever. But yeah, everyone has a different opinion on the ending of that movie, which I think is pretty cool.
My favorite part of every horror movie that I've watched is I guess the term would be foreshadowing. I don't think that's technically the right term, but the foreshadowing of like, this is really sinister. Like just the feelings of getting sinister, the small actions that take place that make you feel like what's going on,
Yeah.
I watched Tremors, and one of the beginning scenes in Tremors is them finding this guy trapped on this tower, like on a power tower.
Yeah.
Power pole, I guess. Like, one of those huge power lines, like trapped on one of that with his 30-30. Just like he's dead, and he's just there. And they had to pull the body down, and like sinister. That
It's
is
like
part
the
of
first blood of the movie.
Yeah.
It goes to show like, okay.
Like It. Did you see It?
Yes.
Like with the kid?
Yeah. That's what I'm talking
Can I
about.
tell
with
you
the
what?
first blood.
Can I tell you what happens in the beginning?
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to
kid.
tell you. It's so
Georgie.
disgusting. This kid,
Georgie!
this little kid dies.
Georgie!
And it's just terrible.
Don't go.
I already know.
Yeah,
Well,
you do know.
Yeah, I do know.
Okay,
The
sorry.
entire movie's spoiled for me. I've seen too many reviews for it.
Okay, yeah.
But yeah, that's how they like tell the audience that like, okay, we're not messing around. Like the threat is actually like something.
Yeah. He can actually kill you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the chest burster coming out, or it has to like prove the stakes. Although with it doesn't make much sense, because for the rest of that movie, isn't the monster just like jumping out and scaring people and not
It
actually
feeds on
hurting them?
fear. So it wants to scare you, and then it wants to eat you.
So-
that's how it survives.
It feeds on fear,
Yeah.
until it feeds on people.
I hate that. I'm not glad I watched it.
Yeah,
I do think though that movie has the best jump scare that I've seen. Besides like Jaws, the Jaws and It, I think have the two best jump scares of like every movie that I've seen. So like with Jaws, it's like the underwater scare where like they're looking into the boat, and like that prosthetic face just like goes in front of the camera. Dude, gets me every time.
yeah,
And then with It, it's the scene where they're looking at the slides on the projector,
yeah.
and the projector starts
Yeah.
going faster and faster and faster.
Oh my
And then he
gosh.
actually like pops out of the wall, and he's like huge. Dude, that scene.
Dude, I saw it in theaters.
So good.
I have never seen a horror movie in theaters before, and I saw that. I wanted to cry. It was so scary.
Yeah.
It's really well done.
Oh,
That
man.
scene was really well done, though. I feel like.
There were some really good movies I watched, some older movies, suspense movies, which I thought were really well done. One of the things which I really enjoyed doing growing up is watching Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the Twilight Zone episodes. There were some of them which were pretty unnerving. Like not so horror jump scare-esque. I mean, there's one classic jump scare which my sister will never let me forget, of the gremlin in 20,000, what is it? 20,000 feet? Nightmare at 20,000 feet. I think it is. Or Nightmare at 20,000 feet. And there's this one famous scene of like this guy, the whole story of this thing is this guy is seeing this gremlin on the wing of the plane, and he's like, it's hurting the plane, but no one else sees the gremlin, and no one else will believe him. And so eventually he goes like
Dude.
crazy. But there's this one part where like he's talking to the waitress, and
I've
he looks
seen-
back, and it's just this gremlin's face on the window.
Dude,
And I
yeah.
just like
Nice.
jumped out of my
I've seen
chair. Yeah.
That's like one of those primal fears, though, where you're like, it's like at night, and you're looking out the window, and like just seeing the face there.
Yeah. Oh my-
That's like one of those primal, like deep down, like everyone kind of has that fear.
Yeah.
Um,
One fear is there's also a Twilight Zone episode, To Serve Man, where it's like these aliens come under the guise of helping men, and they leave this book which the people interpreted they only could decrypt the first title of it, and it's To Serve Man. And so they're like, oh, that's really, really promising. And then by the end, after the aliens are like sharing all this technology with us and bringing humans back to their home planet, they decrypted more of it, and they're like, oh, it's a cookbook. Oh, To Serve Man. That changes the entire meaning. And yeah.
That's funny.
I will agree with you, though. I do like older, more like psychological horror, like thrillers.
Yeah.
Like I really like The Birds.
I haven't seen The
You haven't
Birds.
seen The Birds?
I really want to.
So
because-
basically, like the whole first half of it is just lead up, and so it does get a little boring for like the first half, or at least the first like part of the movie. So once you like get past that initial part where you're like, you know, so like all like, you know, character development and it kind of introducing the setting. But once you get past that, it's done really well. Basically, it's like a giant flock of birds, like thousands of birds that are basically trying to kill you.
Yeah.
And so you have all these birds that are just like dive bombing people. And so then they like take shelter. Like there's a whole part where there's like a school with like kids, and the kids are like trying to run away from it and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And it's pretty intense for like a movie that was made in like the
With like
60s,
little
70s.
technology. Yeah.
That
was
there's
Hitchcock,
some there's some pretty dodgy special effects in there, but I think like the last part of it, they like barricaded themselves inside this house.
Yeah.
And they like boarded up all the windows and all the doors and everything, and you could just hear just like on the roof, just thousands of birds just hitting the house.
Really?
Just like bam, 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 just like constantly, and it's just like so unnerving.
Yeah. You're talking about the dodgy special effects. It just goes to prove that like you can forgive bad special effects if it's good writing, but you will not forgive good special effects if it's bad writing.
That's true.
And
Sharknado.
Was it good special effects?
No. And it was bad special effects and bad writing.
The perfect storm. Sharknado is the perfect storm. Yeah.
Oops. Well, guys,
All
this has
right.
been fun. Should we sign off?
A few moments later.
Well, thank you all for listening to the special 10th episode of Cultured Idiots. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever else our podcast is hosted. And don't forget to also follow us on Instagram for any latest updates on new guests that we're going to have on, new episodes, and when those are going to drop. Again, thank you all for watching. We really appreciate it a lot. This is sort of a passion project of ours, but it really means a lot that we have people actually watching this show. Awesome. So for now, goodbye, but make sure to submit any questions that you want us to answer in the future, or if you have any ideas for segments or topics that we could talk about. We appreciate any suggestions that you guys might have. So thank you, and for now, goodbye.